Hello, this is Mang Lando, once again talking about religion and philosophy. Today, I want to briefly talk about the afterlife, specifically the Jewish idea of the afterlife, to better understand Christianity's version of it, since I belong to this great Christian religious tradition myself. After all, both the great religions of Christianity and Islam have their roots in Judaism, the religious tradition of the Jews, of which Jesus was one of them during the early years of the 1st century. Even though the religious tradition of Christianity and Islam have their roots in Judaism, it may come as a surprise to many that Christians and Muslims are far more obsessed with the idea of heaven and hell, and all other things related to the afterlife than practicing Jews themselves. In fact, Judaism is famously ambiguous about what happens when we die. Their emphasis is their life in the here and now, not after, the so-called afterlife. The immortality of the soul and resurrection of the dead all feature in Jewish tradition, but exactly what these things are has always been vague. Jewish heaven or Gan Eden, so-called Garden of Eden, and Jewish hell or Gehinnom are related to the idea of immortality but developed independently. Surprisingly, most Jewish ideas about the afterlife developed during post-biblical times, meaning around the time when the new Jewish sect of the Jesus movement led by his disciples started to break apart into a new religion. More surprisingly, the pervasive influences of the Hellenistic Greek philosophies, especially related to the immortal soul on Judaism, happened at around the same time that the new religion of Christianity was also influenced by the same philosophies, especially Stoicism and Platonism. Maimonides, also known as Rambam, one of the most influential Jewish philosophers, pushed for a Platonic ideal of a heavenly afterlife. He was a prominent Torah scholar and astronomer during the Middle Ages in the 12th century, who also happened to be a personal physician of Saladin, the famous Sultan of Egypt and Syria, the Muslim leader who defeated the Crusaders from Europe. In other words, it is not just Christianity that is somehow syncretic in beliefs, as it is influenced by Hellenistic Greek philosophies, the pervasive influence at the time, much like how Hollywood influences the whole world in this century. Syncretic influences also apply even to Judaism, the religious tradition of the Jews during the time of Jesus, and soon afterwards. Once again, this is Mang Lando, sharing my thoughts on Memorial Day. Another food for thought. Maraming Salamat Pa.